Hello, and welcome to Way of the Holy Family. Thank you for joining us as we walk in perpetual hope, drawing ever closer to Jesus through life's struggles and triumphs, filled by the Eucharist and strengthened by community. Way of the Holy Family is here to bring light, encouragement, and a bit of childish fun for all families seeking holiness. Hello, everyone. This week, we're going to talk about some basic practices and things that we have implemented in our lives, in our home, that we can do with the family and to practice your faith. We didn't start off with what I'm about to describe. As I think about it, I'm going, wow, we have a lot, or we do a lot. We have a whole host of ideas and things that we do, but you don't have to grab at them all. In fact, a little cautious on describing this to you because it could be a bit overwhelming. But I just want to make aware of the simplicity and the availability of these ideas. And even for us, being a 2,000-year-old church, I'm quite confident I'm not going to be aware of all the nuggets God has made available for us over the centuries. But even amongst all the prayers, meditative practices, the sacraments, sacramentals, little things that you can have in your home, God likes to keep it simple. So as I run through our home and the different things that we have, I want you to keep in mind that we did not start there. And as Oliver and I described in the About Us episode, we both grew up cradle Catholic. We were well educated in the sacraments, exposed to liturgical music, and consistently was around a wonderful faith community. But when we were first married, it was as if we had to start all over again. And it wasn't even to flourish in our faith. It was just to survive from day to day, drawing strength, it seemed like, from ourselves, like deciding to rise out of bed and go to Mass, to return to confession, and to find faith-filled groups to be involved with. And I tell you what, it was not easy. There was a period where Oliver was holding 3 to 4 jobs just to make ends meet until he landed a good income. And on a Sunday, I remember putting my foot down and saying, we are going to Mass. We are not compromising on this. And then there were other times in my period of depression, Oliver had to carry the weight and said, we are going to church and we are going to go pray. Thank God for that. That's not decorating your home with religious items, stopping by a church during the week, praying a rosary, or even filling the air with religious music. It was bare bones survival for us. And thank goodness we did go to Mass. We were strengthened by it. Even at the time, it didn't seem so. It carried us from Sunday to Sunday, week to week, task to task. With a baby, we went to Mass exhausted, and we only had one 10-inch crucifix on our wall. But that little start and that little consistency provided space for connections with people who had strong and firm faith foundations, and eventually community whom we could relate to, lean on, and share joys and sorrows with. In these little opportunities, our time with Christ expanded, and once again, slowly but surely, we began to gain strength once again. Our faith muscle was growing, and once again, we had found our firm foundation in Christ that brought joy to us. But again, remember, we started with just one crucifix on our wall and going to Mass every Sunday. So, here's an illustration of our home today. These things in our home make Christ available to our kids, like the one crucifix and going to Mass every week for Oliver and I. We love to be surrounded by this environment that we have created through the guidance of Jesus. Some of these things came in the way of just a simple grace. It was gifted to us. Others we have acquired through purchases or just activities we have created. Some things are very obviously religious, pointing to Christ, and other things are more symbolic that is special to our family. And one little symbolic thing you'll see right outside our front door, and that is a little yellow rose bush. After the consecration to Mary for our family, I felt very drawn to get a yellow rose bush. And by a little miracle, we got the last one at our local shop, and it produces such little pretty flowers. Next, above the doorway, you will see the Epiphany blessing in chalk, because every household needs a blessing. And as you enter into our home and you turn into our kitchen, right front and center on the wall is a 2-foot bronze crucifix. This crucifix is very special to us. It was gifted to us by one of our very dear friends. And whenever we move, the first thing that we put up on the wall and the last thing that comes down whenever our family changes places. Sometimes my kids will find me kneeling in the kitchen praying, and other times when we're having just basic conversations, we'll glance over to the cross as if the Lord is speaking to us. Having it there, obvious, front and center, allowing everybody to see it. Next is the newest addition in our home, and those are 2 pictures. Jesus with his Sacred Heart and the Blessed Mother Mary with her Immaculate Heart. And this came in the way of just going antiquing with my brother. And, you see different religious stuff as you go through numerous thousands and thousands of items. But this one, my heart was pulled to this lovely picture of Our Lady from the 30s. And there's a whole story behind it, and that's for another day. But again, they're right there on our wall for us and our children to see every day. And as you go throughout the home, over all of our beds, we all have crucifixes, and some of us might have a particular medal to a particular saint over our heads as well, and St. Benedict medals over every doorway. My son has a St. Michael statue in his room, and my daughter in her room has a collection of saints posted upon her wall that she has been slowly but surely building over time that brings her joy, consolation, help with meditation and prayer. My husband has a few pictures of his choosing in his little office nook, including the Divine Mercy. And then for the rest of the home, if it's not on the wall, you'll find medals and rosaries here and there. In fact, I've worked very hard to try to collect them and treat them well and have a central location for them. But when you have 5 kids or just being a distracted parent, sometimes you lose track of things. I had lost a miraculous medal for the longest while that Father gave me from confession. And when we were cleaning out the washer, we found it in the little filter. You know you're a devoted Catholic when you forget to clean out your pants pocket and you find a rosary in the dryer screen. So, yes, we have stuff everywhere. And that's just our home. We're not even going into prayers at the moment and what we do practice-wise, like going to Mass every week, because that has expanded as well. But our home is filled with such joy. Oh, and the air. What do we fill the air with? We fill the air with Gregorian chants sometimes when it's chaos. It calms the chaos. We have praise and worship songs playing throughout the home at other times. We have live stream of prayers sometimes that we participate in, as well as streaming of faith-based movies. I'm so thankful for the online streaming these faith-based movies available. My kids found their patron saints through them. And we've learned a lot because we've got the habit of watching TV. And it's just changing what we're focusing on. To wrap up the items for our home is books. Lots and lots of books. And I got rid of a lot of books being a theology student. I wonder if I have replaced the number of them. My daughter loves saint books. We are slowly but surely collecting those. And then we have study books. We have different versions of the Bible or different translations. We have toddler books and kids books for the Mass. We even have a cookbook to celebrate for feast days. So, yeah, we have a lot of books. Now, all these items are in our home, and I haven't even begun to tap into what we do to fill in our day. I'm going to save that for part 2 because our time is spent obviously inside the home and outside the home. Now, all these things are not necessary, but boy, does it make it fun. It's so wonderful. Wherever I turn in my home, I see something that reminds me of my lovely Lord, and I'm incredibly grateful for him and everything that he has given to us. It gets my children excited. It's the host for conversation, it's the root of our questions. And I wouldn't replace that for the world. Just simply having a wood plaque of the Blessed Mother by my children's bedside, or little broken statues of Jesus and Mary available to my little girls sitting on the floor, makes available a reality that's even closer than the sidewalk underneath your foot. It makes one aware and reminds an individual that God is closer than the air in your lungs. And that's the reality we should focus on. And that's why we have filled our home with such things. Please stay tuned for part 2 on how we spend our time in and out of the home. Peace, friends. Thank you for joining us today. Check back every Tuesday through Thursday as we drop new episodes and news. Feel free to follow, or if you would like to know more information about Way of the Holy Family, please click the link below to our website, wayoftheholyfamily.com.